How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time joining us, my name's Nate and I'm a contractor here in West Michigan. I've been self-employed for about 15 years, and in that time I've owned quite a great deal of equipment. And in order to move that equipment around, we need a lot of trailers. And trailers from time to time need some love and some upgrading. And that's what we're going to cover in today's video. Let's get into it. Okay, this right here is a 1996 Hudson Brothers trailer. I've owned it for probably 10 years or so, and it's currently rated for 12,000 pounds with the tandem 6,000 pound axles underneath it. The trailer's probably capable of carrying much more than that. But what we want to cover in today's video is replacing these old Dayton style mobile home tires with something more modern. Basically what happened was I was hauling some dragline buckets around earlier this summer and had a little bit of a blowout like you can see here. Fortunately, this gas station was able to throw my spare on for me and get me on my way. So we're going to replace these with these 6-bolt trailer tires that you can get at any trailer supply store. Now, if we come around the other side here, you'll see I already have the driver's side completed. I did this earlier in the summer, and I haven't seen a proper video on YouTube covering this, and I've had some people tell me that it couldn't be done, going from the mobile home style hubs to a modern trailer tire like this. But obviously it can be done, so I thought I'd just show you the way that I did it, what worked for me, and I hope it works for you too. So let's get into it. All right, first things first, we want to jack the trailer up, get it off the ground. All right, that should do it. All right, I've added a light here so we can get a better look at what we're doing. So basically the way that these work is the rim is an open center, and then the drum, the hub, has these kind of 5 ledges that the whole wheel assembly sits on, and then you have wedges on each one that have a taper on them, and when you fit that in there and then put the nuts on here, you can balance it and it just kind of pulls the whole thing tight. So you really don't have to remove all of these when you're doing this kind of job. You can just pop the cap off here, and you have your castle nut in there, and the whole thing could just slide off the spindle. But we're gonna show you how to pull the whole thing out of there. It's a couple extra steps, but anyway, I thought we'd just show that too. So any impact gun work. It's a 22 millimeter socket will work just fine. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this is probably more for when you're doing this on a truck or a larger vehicle, is what a lot of times people do is don't back the nut off all the way, because in a larger application, these can sometimes fly off and injure people. It's typically not the case with a little trailer like this, but it's better to play it safe. Well, that was exciting. You got them all off, and if you look here, even a couple of the studs came with it, which happens. It's no big deal. We aren't going to reuse these anyway, so we'll go ahead and pull the rest of these out of here. Get that out of the way, and now the whole assembly will come right off. A job like this tends to go a little bit quicker when you're just doing both at the same time. So I'm gonna mainly be focusing on this side here, but we're also going to do this one at the same time. So I'm just gonna give these a little shot of Croil here. All right. Now while that's settling in, let's get back to this guy here. I'll show you what to do next. Okay, next thing we want to do is remove the cap from the end here. So best thing to use is a rubber mallet. Let's give that a shot, see how it goes. Sometimes these can be kind of difficult to remove. Oh, there we go. All right, there's the mess. So what we have going on here is basically we have our castle nut, which is right here, and a little cotter pin going through it. So we need to remove that, and then the outer bearing will come out, and we can take the whole drum right off of the spindle. Okay, this is where it gets kind of greasy. So if that's something you care about, it's better to have some kind of gloves on or whatever. So basically, all we need to do is straighten this out. And these never go on very tight, you know. Just a little bit. Okay. That came right out. I might even be able to, that's just, yeah, just finger tight. Okay, now we want to put that somewhere clean, on a paper towel or whatever, because we will be reusing that. Same thing for the pin. See that? We're gonna reuse that when we reassemble. Now you just want to very carefully, yep, work that off of the spline. And grab the washer that goes on the outside of that. Put that with the castle nut. And there we have our outer bearing. We will be replacing that. And then pull your drum right off of the brake cassette. All right. And we're going to pull off the inner bearing. Doesn't even look too bad. Yep, we're going to replace them anyway. And then just pull this guy off. Okay. Now we have our exposed brake cassette. And we're going to be replacing this as well. So we're going to give those a little dose of Croyle here. Okay, these 5 nuts right here are going to be a 9/16. Okay. Now, we do want to keep these as well, because I think we're just going to reuse these when the new brakes go on. All right. There you have it. Just pull that guy right off, toss it to the side. If you are replacing the brakes on your application as well. Okay, here's our new brake cassettes. These are just Dexter parts from the local trailer supply company. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that it will matter which side of the trailer you put these on. So the ones that go on your driver's side, I believe they designate the part number with an L at the end of it or something like that. I'll try to put it in the description if I can remember what that was. But now it's time to throw these on. Perfect. Sometimes those don't go on so easily, so I'm glad these did. Let's tighten these back up. Okay, next thing we want to do is hook up our wiring for the brakes. You can use a standard 14 to 16 gauge butt connector and seal it with a torch, but we're going to use these kind of snap down weatherproof ones. So you're going to need 2 per side, 2 per wheel, that is. And then all you do is slide those in like so. And snap them down. Oh, okay. You know what? We're going to try this a different way. So you don't need to strip the end of the wires when you're using these. I was going to use the other kind, but I ran out. I don't feel like going to get more. So these have a little kind of blade in there that will strip them down for you. There, that went in much easier. Okay. And then just press this guy down like so. There you have it. It's that easy. You can even use your pliers if you want to. Sometimes that's a bit easier. There we go. Okay, that's done. Perfect. All right, here's where it gets messy. It's time to pack the bearings. The larger bearings here are the inner bearings. The smaller bearings here are the outer bearings. This is what the washer from earlier sits against, and we tighten our castle nut down to that. You'll need the correct bearings, wheel bearing grease, and some high temperature red lithium grease. This is going to go in a grease gun. We'll set that aside for later. You're also going to want to get a good set of rubber gloves and some paper towels to keep your work area clean. All right, let's dive into this. All right. So there's many ways to do this, like everything, but I'll show you what works best for me. You're gonna wanna make sure your sleeves are rolled up nice for this, because it gets pretty grody. All right, what you wanna do is start on the back side of the bearing. Through this opening right here is where we're going to put the grease. Same thing on the outer bearing. What you want to do is get a good fistful of this grease and then just sort of work it in until it comes out the other side. And then your bearing's packed. So let's just dive right into this. I'm gonna get a nice bit of this in my glove. And what I'm gonna do is take my first bearing here and just hold it by the edge. And I'm going to just start working it in like that. Just nice and carefully. Work that grease into the bearing. If it builds up, just grab it back into your palm and continue on. You want to get it just so that lip catches all that grease. And it just forces it right into the bearing. There. Now you can see right there, the grease kind of coming through. Let's turn this. Yeah. There you go. You can see it there. You just want to work it in nice all the way around. There you go. See that coming through the top between the rollers there? That means that side's good, and we can just continue on around the whole bearing. If you have a better way to do this, drop a comment below. I'm sure there's lots of different ways, but like I said, you know, this is just what I found that works pretty well. Okay, this one is pretty good. So we're gonna just give it a nice coating all the way around. Okay, and we'll call that one complete. Same thing, just repeat this process. See that? We have our grease coming through there. You want to have nice heavy-duty gloves for this. You don't want to be using cheap, you know, just standard medical gloves or anything like that, because if they rip or something, then that's going to be a big mess. We don't want that. All right. That one's about good. A little bit more right there. Okay. Perfect. And get a little bit more, and you want to do your outer bearings right at the same time while your hands are dirty. Nice heavy-duty gloves make a big difference. These are some cleaning gloves I got at the grocery store. And get a couple pairs too, because it's good to have another pair for when we go ahead and install these. Unless you want to just go ahead and get your hands nice and greasy and then go eat your lunch. That's an option too. Okay. The outer bearings definitely go much quicker. Okay, I think those are about good. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of these gloves, and we'll be right back. Look at that. And I want to go ahead and just throw these right in the trash. Our next step is going to be installing the inner bearing inside the drum here. So what I do is get a little wad of grease on a paper towel or something and just give it a little coating on that beveled lip right in there where the bearing is going to sit. Okay. Then we're going to take our bearing with the beveled side in, and we're just going to drop it right in there. Just like that. Okay. Next step is we want to take our bearing seal and install that right over top here. But before we do that, we want to put in a little bit of grease, and that's where our grease gun's going to come in. Okay, so next step, put a little bit of grease on the inside of this bearing right here. If you have a power grease gun, it makes it much easier. Okay, now we want to take our seal and fit it right here inside the drum. So we're going to take our little rubber mallet and you want to make sure that this is flush with this outer lip here. If you have any difficulty with that, you can put a little piece of wood over that and just kind of gently finesse it right on in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the next one, and then we'll start putting this bad boy back together. All right, at this point, we're ready to start reassembling everything. It's always a good idea to keep your work area clean, so this would be a good point to give everything a good sweep, put away your tools, clean up your old parts. I've gone ahead and done that. All right, now what we want to do is fit our drums onto the spindles over our brakes, just like this. Give them a little turn, make sure everything seems like it's lining up and in place. All right. Now we're going to get our grease gun back out and give it a good dose of grease on the spindle. Some of these spindles are serviceable, meaning on the ends right here, you'll have a grease zerk where you can just put a grease gun and fill the inside with grease. These spindles are non-serviceable, so we're just going to fill them up from the outside before we put on our outer bearing. Okay. Take your outer bearing with the beveled side facing in. that should sit nicely. Right. Like so. Wipe away the excess grease. Now, we want to take our washers from earlier, clean them up. And we're going to put those over top of the bearing. Now, one thing to note here is that these are keyed, so it's not a perfect circle. It's not a perfect opening. It has a notch in it that you can see right there. So these can only go on one way. All right. Now we're going to take our castle nuts from before. We're going to carefully thread those back onto the spindle. And those should be just finger tight. Now we're going to take our cotter pin that we took out at the beginning. And reinstall it. Okay. Now, when I went to the trailer supply store to purchase all these parts, I was informed by the gentleman there that this was indeed a 6,000 pound axle setup, which means that this trailer is rated for 12,000 pounds. And if you look at the construction of this thing, it seems as though it should be rated for a whole heck of a lot more than that. I was hoping for at least 14,000 pounds or more. This is a very, very overbuilt trailer, to say the least. But it is what it is. 6,000 pounds is what the replacement was for this bad boy. So that's what we went with. So we have these 6-bolt wheels. Like I said, they're a 225/75 R15. So they are a radial tread. And these are going to be a direct replacement for your mobile home style hubs. Let's go ahead and throw these on. Sweet, it's looking better already. All right. Next in our box of goodies, we have new lug nuts. Oh, dropping them already. Right. Now it's important to remember to always torque these down to the correct specifications. However, for the sake of the video, I'm just going to torque these down with the impact gun. You always want to remember to recheck them after a while. Make sure none of these have loosened up or anything. The whole point of doing this is so you don't have tires falling off or exploding in the middle of the freeway. So what good would we be doing if we weren't sure to be safe? All right, let's go ahead and torque these down. Okay, there we have it. A completed conversion, new brakes, new hubs, new wheels and tires on this 1996 Hudson Brothers trailer. Again, I wish that I could get a little bit more load rating out of these, but unfortunately, without doing a whole bunch of reconfiguring and probably replacing the axles, this is as good as we're going to get for now. So if you have an old trailer that has mobile home axles under it, I hope this was informative, and thank you for watching. Let's take it for a test drive. All right, well, the test drive was a success. I wasn't able to film it though. I wanted to put the GoPro under the trailer and get some good action shots of going down the road, but it's been raining all day here, and the road was quite muddy, and I didn't want to get the equipment all dirty. Well guys, there you have it. Updated wheels and tires on a formerly mobile home axle trailer. I hope you enjoyed the video. This method worked pretty well for me. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.